Good evening, Instagram universe. It feels great to be back. It's been a hell of a week. We got our guest, the iconic Anthony Trucks, coming on from the record-setting episode of the CLS Experience. Y'all know the drill. Brain on, popcorn ready. Let's do this. Oh, what's up, Alexandra? Suzanne, my girl, can't wait to see you in the Big Apple. Yep. Oh, they're all out tonight. CLS Experience, very nice to see you. What a delightful treat. Allison, twice in one day. It's like the combination of Hanukkah and Christmas. We're just waiting for Anthony to get on here, and then we're going to rock and roll. Happy to be here, Jesse. Anthony, I see you, big dog. Let's do this. Yeah!
How's it going, man? You good?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm great, man. You look like you just got out the hospital, I saw.
Yeah. Yep.
What happened?
It's been a horrible week. I had some surgery. I was training for my marathon. I got injured, and it was said to be a sprained ligament. I didn't believe it, so I facilitated the MRI. As it turns out, basically was a tumor in my foot, so I had to get it taken out. But I'm very blessed that I had the injury, so I got the MRI and so forth. So
that's good, man. Yeah, it's one of those weird things, right? God works in mysterious ways, huh?
100%. Minor setback. Yeah.
Hey, it's part of the thing, man. I had surgery in April for my shoulder, man, from football. Still, it's all part of it, dude.
Just this past April?
Yeah, April 1st. I had my first. Well, obviously, I tore my shoulder back in 2008, and then I had surgery then. But then it just over the years just been crappy, and so they just had it like cleaned up. So I have more range of motion than I ever had. It's still tender, right? We're still fresh out, so I can't lift as much as I used to. But at least hopefully I'll be able to get into older age without having issues with it.
You just get warmed up, buddy. You're spring shaking.
A little bit. I'd like to think that. My knees cry when I stand up. They pop now. My back's all tight. Hey, seriously, I'm at this point where I'll be standing there, just standing, and I go to move, my back says, "Not today," and like locks up on me. It's crazy. Seriously. I'll be fine though.
What's up, Junior? Anthony, let me give you the introduction you deserve for my audience that may not be familiar with you, even though the episode's already breaking records. For all you that don't know this badass individual, this is entrepreneur, motivational speaker, former NFL world-class athlete, American Ninja Warrior, just an overall juggernaut, phenomenal human being, my good friend, Anthony Trucks. We crushed it on the episode. Everyone's loving it. I saw a couple people already posting some quotes from it. It's so good to rendezvous back with you here today, my man. We're going to get started. The audience is very engaging and loyal, too, so I have a bunch of questions for you. You ready to get nuts?
Yeah, I could tell somebody just was already like, "Hey, fresh haircut." I was like, "Yeah, I literally just left the barbershop." I got a speech tomorrow.
Fresh cut,
Friday.
brother.
I gotta go hop on a stage. The organization's called Pure Romance, which is one of those like the home-based pleasure party companies. They're great people. It's just an interesting product. It's not one that I personally would, because I'm not a lady, so it's not my thing. But I'm gonna go hang out and drop some nuggets and have some fun with them, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, it's good to see you. We're gonna dive right in. You ready?
I'm ready when you are, Doc.
Okay. You talk about in the episode, just because you think that you're working as hard as you possibly can doesn't mean that's enough to get to where you need to go. That might be a tough pill to swallow for some. Tell us what you mean by that.
Yes, I mean, it's the reality of it, right? So we all have these big aspirations. We look at people and go, "I want that. I'd like to have that car, that house, or I'd like to have that kind of money, that kind of freedom," whatever it may be. And when we set our sights on this goal, and then what ends up happening is we have an internal level of what our hard work maximum is. We have an internal level. We get to a point and go, "Oh, this is too much," and we'll shut down. We'll get overwhelmed. We'll get maximized. We'll freak out. And what I've noticed with people is when they reach that level, but they don't have their thing yet, they go, "Well, why don't I have my thing yet?" And I go, "Well, the reality is your dream level of hard work necessary, the prerequisite is up here, but you're capping out down here." Now, it doesn't mean you can't increase. It doesn't mean like, because strength is something you build over time, right? It doesn't mean you can't, but you have to be aware of that and go, "Okay, great. When I'm down here, if I want to get strong enough to be up here, I gotta lift the small weights in between. I got to do like a 15 minutes more, 20 minutes more conversations, more calls, take care of my body." Like there's certain things I have to do that allow my capacity to maximize up here. I don't like to say overwhelmed. I say maximized because this is my max right now. Just like lifting weights, you get it. This is my max right now, but I can increase it. And the more you increase, the closer you get to reaching a level of what you see your dream to be. And then when you do that, like all of a sudden, like, oh, it's real and it's weird. But here's the crazy thing. it feels almost like it's normal and usual to have that kind of level of success. And it's not because success got easier, you just got stronger.
Ooh. First of all, I love speaking to you for so many reasons. Number one, your energy. I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you this. It's just so infectious. I love when you
Thank you.
speak with such passion. But what you're saying really hits home because this is something I was talking about in my membership earlier today.
Hmm.
And let's all be honest with each other. Like, there's always a little bit more that we can do to get
Yeah.
close to the desired result, right?
Always.
Acknowledge that everyone thinks that they're working so hard, but then you look at like the course of their day, like, did you really put it all out there? Did you really look yourself in the mirror and say, I left it all out on the field? Usually it's not the
Yeah.
case.
No, and it's tough too because there's people like I think about this simple fact. I used to own a gym, right? People go like, "Ant, I'm working out real hard, and I'm not losing the weight. I'm going as hard as I can." I go, "Okay, great. Let's go work out together." And I'll go work out, and I'll do the warm up. I'll do my warm up. They're gassed, right? Midway through the workout, they're done, and I go, "What are you doing?" Well, I just can't go anymore. I'm like, "Well, that's the reason you haven't quite reached that level is because what your workout's my warm up. Now, it doesn't mean I'm better than you. It just means we have to increase your capacity, but." That it's a sucky pill to swallow and be like, man, my hardest, my best isn't good enough. Yes, and that's okay. It doesn't mean it'll never be good enough. It just means right now, in this moment in time, the reality to set in is like it's not. And that should give you not the sense of like, oh, that sucks, I'll never get there. It should give you a thought of like, oh, okay, now I know that when I get to this level, everything I do beyond that, I'm now getting better. It's actually a
100%.
gift. It's a gifted moment that people think is a problem, but it's actually a gift. Because the reality is like I could be doing a workout and I don't know for sure I'm getting better until I can't move and I go more. Like that's when I know. And so it's a gifted moment you have to get to actually get to that point. Most people they take it as like a negative attack, and it's like, nah, it's not an attack. It's just a reality. You've gifted yourself with a reality that you can actually work towards.
Yeah. And I need to surround myself with more people with your mindset because, like, I always put out, I do a pretty good job in leaving it all out there and working my
Mhm.
ass off. Most people tell me to slow down. But,
Yeah.
like, mentality, it's like if you're around someone and you see them pushing, when you think you're at resistance and you
Hmm.
find out you can actually go a little more, you're not going to die, so to speak. You're right. That's not an attack. That's a positive because it shows you with a little bit more energy, a little bit more drive, you can get a little bit closer to that result. That should be taken as a positive.
Yeah, man. It's just it's. I don't think we're always faced with the realities we are sometimes, and when we do, we actually push more. Like there's a great example right now in the Olympics. You have Dalilah Muhammad and you have Sydney McLaughlin, and so they're both 400-meter hurdle runners, right? And Sydney in the trials set the world record. She's the first woman to go under 52. Now Dalilah Muhammad's been doing it for years, and she lost, but she actually had the previous record. And then they both go to the Olympic trials, and then the finals. This I think it was yesterday. Both ran it an Olympic time previously, but that she had just set the world record was like 51.9. No woman had ever got under 52. Well, Dalilah Muhammad runs, as opposed to a 51.9, runs a 51.5, right? Now Sydney McLaughlin runs a 51.47 or something and beats her. So it's like it wasn't possible before, and all of a sudden, two ladies, bang, bang, they both knock it out, right? Once you realize that there's more to build into, that's when things start getting traction.
Yeah, and that's when things really get exciting.
Yeah,
I
that's
asked
it.
you, yeah, hell yeah. I asked you what your definition of success is, and I love to ask different, very successful people because usually you get much different answers. But your
Yeah.
answer, I actually never heard before ever. You said it's
Mhm.
control,
Yeah.
essentially like freedom, right? Like to be able to do what you want when you want, so to speak. And that really hit home to me. I thought that was super deep. Elaborate on that a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, it's not. It's interesting. I think control is different from freedom. We have freedom to choose, but we may not have control of much, right? So I have freedom to leave a relationship, but I may not have the control of self to do so, right? We have freedom to leave a job, but I may not have the control to do so without being able to take care of my family. So freedom is an interesting thing. Where like it is its own, be it freedom, but control is, I think, a better for me frame of how I think where I'm like, I want control to be able to say, like, I have the control to say, I don't want to do any work today. Hey, everybody, I'm taking a day off. Cancel, cancel, cancel. That's control. It's not freedom, it's control, right? Or I want to control my emotions when things go crazy and there's a lot going on because I think that we sometimes get to moments where we can't control ourselves and we do things and in hindsight it's like, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But if you can control your emotions, you can actually make better moments in the next moments of your life. So I look even like if it's in a control like my daily environment. Now we don't always have control in all situations. I don't have control over my state's mandates of whether or not I got to wear a mask or like this is not that control, but I can still control myself. And if I'm in a space where like what's called entrepreneurially, I can control my day. I can control my income. I have more control. And so I like the idea for me of like, do I have control of myself more than do I have freedom as like my version of success? Because here's the unique thing. When you start setting a level of what control is, you can detach yourself from the world's view of what success is and be okay and comfortable and happy in your version of success. So for example, some people would say that, you know, freedom's got to be a jet and a yacht and all these like helicopters. Like that's cool, but like that's a different level, right? I don't have any aspirations for that. I want to be able to control my day. Can I take my kids to school in the morning? Can I go on vacation with a wife? Can I drop things at the drop of a dime, a drop of a hat? Like, can I do these things? And what you come to find is like you can separate yourself and go like, look, my goal isn't a boat or jet or yacht. Like genuinely, I have no aspiration to ever own a boat that's like a yacht. You know, it's just nothing for me. And it's cool, but I have control of that, which means I have control of my emotions. I don't have to feel like I'm less than or I'm lacking something because I don't have that. And I get to live life in a vastly more peaceful place than most people. Everybody? No, but like I have a life I love, man. I absolutely love what I get to do. If I have kids that are great and do their things, I get to watch them excel in their sports and have fun. I got a wife that does her thing and she's awesome at what she does. So she comes to a relationship happy. I get to do stuff like this where I get to give and share in ways that as I pour out, I fill up. So for me, dude, life is great. I have what I would deem success. Now, do I want more things? Yeah, I'm human. It'd be cool to have like maybe a nicer car someday if I want to get a nice, but like I'm good with it for now. You know, like I don't have to stress. Would I want to go and see more of the world? Hell yeah, right? But I have control of when I want to have that happen and when things will take place.
Yeah, love all this, brother. It's so true. And your life, what you're living right now, is by design. So kudos.
100%.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
one thing I wanted to ask you, because I'm so impressed with this, is I think this day and age, and maybe this will rub people the wrong way, it is what it is, but like so many people in relationships tend to, like the trendy thing is to almost give up, like next. But
Yeah.
that's not what you did. You guys kind of
No.
reinvented and rediscovered a
Hmm.
love and went at it again, and now it's more beautiful than ever. I know this is something that's not talked about a lot, but it's so special and so beautiful. What's your secret, or what can you suggest to other people that are kind of just want to throw in the towel?
Yeah, it's funny, man. Well, the one thing is you will always run into a problem if you don't know how to solve it. It'll keep showing itself again. So I think there's a mentality of, you know what, it's easier to start over than it is to fix what's broken. And the problem is you'll consistently keep having to fix things, and then you'll have to keep leaving the situation to the next thing until it breaks, until it breaks, until it breaks. So there's something to be said about, I think, the relationship that everybody wants, that you have to build it. You have to genuinely build it. You don't settle into something and go, all right, it's the person and everything's just squared away. Their mom taught them everything to be amazing with me, and their mom and dad made them amazing people. The world did. No. In fact, in my reality of what I've experienced through myself and other relationships, I've worked with different marriages as well. I'm not a marriage counselor, but I have a weird way of like, I do some unique things. And what we come to find I call it this. My wife is the puzzle I chose to solve. That's
Ooh,
just it.
he's
So
got gems tonight.
yeah, it's just she's a puzzle, bro. She's literally damn near an enigma some days, and some days she's off the wall. And the thing is, like, I gotta figure it out. Now I can easily go away. Think about a puzzle. If you leave a puzzle and walk away to the next puzzle, it's a table full of puzzles. And then you hate your life. You're like, and all these damn unsolved puzzles. But think about when you finish that puzzle, the last piece goes in, you're like, oh, I love the picture of what this is. We're down like the last couple pieces in this thing. You know, like we've been at this since we were 16. We got a lot to learn about each other, but we've gone through the ups and downs, divorce, you know, adultery, and kids and school, and it's all over the place. But we've got to this point where, man, it's the pieces kind of figure themselves out. I understand how she works. I understand how I work. And here's one of the best things that we learned to do. There were times where I wanted like this picture perfect. She has to know everything about my business. I want to tell you, why don't you just care about all the stuff I do, right? She's like, I don't care about your business. She's like, I love what you do. I love you. She's like, but I don't really care about what goes on in there. And for her stuff, she has her business. But we found is like, if I can do what I do and be happy, which part of it was I need to find out, like, she's not the one I got other people I talk to about my business. So I'm happy over here. I got my people I talk to, I hang out, I'm happy, right? She doesn't have to worry about me stressing her about, here's my business, listen, talk about it all. And she does things that make her happy. So you have two happy people coming back to the middle. We're both fulfilled, we're both happy in our own stages. So we don't come to this trying to pull it from the other person. And so what it allows us to do is like become us and be almost more free in the relationship than you would be single. Because in this relationship, like there's work to make sure I'm serving and I'm showing up and I'm helping her and stuff, right? But it's not like I'm not phone calls and meeting mom and dad and going to dinners and meeting her friends and having, chase tail all day long. That's work, man. I don't like it. I did the single thing. Not a fan. But to
I
be
hear.
honest, there's
Yeah.
something to being able to stick into something way past the hard parts that gives you this anchoring. It's a different depth of connection and certainty that I don't think a lot of relationships have the ability to get to, and they don't get to because they check out too early because it's just too hard. I don't get you. You're crazy, and they check out. And I think you're doing yourself more damage than you realize because this person may not be the right person, and that may show itself to be. But you got to get to the point where like that problem is an unsolvable one. And to be honest, we've never got to a problem that's unsolvable yet. And when you have the right person and it feels good, you got to work through it. Because the cool thing is the more you do the work, like individually you build and you work past the different situations, the more things just click into place, man. And then the more you get to the point where like you have something, like at this point, man, I have something I'm scared. Yeah, it's so good that I'm scared of losing it. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I've never had levels of joy that I have in my life right now. And that's the thing is like, if I work towards it and it's a scary, like, man, this is almost, it's almost weird. Like, I don't know how sometimes I handle all the good. My heart swells from joy, but you build it. Yeah, it wasn't, but you build it. This is all a building thing. It's not something that just, we met at the bar and all of a sudden we're great for life. It builds, but if you build it, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it just stuck out that you said what I think is so cool and so special for the audience is that you guys are each individually focused on being happy, not relying upon the other. Where if someone's not making you happy, then you collapse. You're each happy, and then together, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's even more special. That's how it should be. So
And here's one nugget I'll give people, because this is the one that's helped us immensely, is when we both realized that I do not have her brain and she doesn't have mine. Because a lot of the situations that arise, people go, how in the world did you not think of that? Like, it's just irrational. She's irrational. You don't get it. You're crazy. Like, no. No one's crazy. No one's irrational. It's just that's a different brain. She goes, why wouldn't you think to do this? I go, my brain doesn't work like yours, love. I wish it did, but it works like this, right? And then I'll be like the same, and she'll do her thing. And in my head, I'm like, I don't get her right now. You're like borderline an alien psychopath, but I realize it's just different. I know I'd say these things. I'm joking, obviously, I'm being facetious, but that's the reality. Once I can give grace to like, my brain doesn't work like that. Let me give grace and realize that the heart of this human, I know where the heart's at. The words might suck right now, but I know where the heart's at. Like, okay, all right, I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna listen to what's being said, maybe not how it's being said, and you navigate it differently. Now it's not this pissed off, I'm disrespected, that kind of thing. But it's a journey, man.
this is a clinic for relationships. I absolutely love it, brother. I told you how loyal and engaged your audience is. They have 2 quick questions for you. Ready for them?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Biggest lesson learned in the NFL?
Biggest lesson learned in the NFL? Dude, nothing's guaranteed. No one cares. That's probably the best one. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Work harder. You ever heard it before? Like, no one cares. Work harder.
Yeah.
No one. I've seen guys get cut because they had to take a break to go see their sick mom, or like their kid is sick and they weren't focused at practice. Nobody cares. And while it's an incredibly cutthroat world and it's a business, man, you can take the lessons on. And at the end of the day, we get the moments where it's like, oh, this is just so much. And the reality is nobody cares, especially success. Success doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't care what excuses you have. It doesn't care what happened. It just cares that you did the work or not. It's a zero-sum game. Did you do that? If you didn't, you didn't do it. And I mean, it is what it is. So with football, it's like they always said, like, if you produce, you stay. Obviously, if you get hurt, it's different too. But if you produce, you stay. And so, yeah, that's it. Somebody said I have that painting in my office. It's the truth, man. If you can really live by that, we live that every day. Like, you're injured,
Business.
No one cares. Work harder, man. I had one year playing with the Redskins. And I was in training camp. Had a guy named LaRon Landry, a safety out of LSU, first round draft pick. Dude's a beast. Safeties in the NFL, they're reckless. They just seriously come from 15 yards in the backfield, run full speed, and dive like a spear with their helmet. In the middle of practice, granted, this is what's called shells. There's no pants, there's no pads in your legs. There's no tackling. It's just shoulder pads to the helmet, everything up top. And all of a sudden, I'm like just doing a regular thud drill, and a whole entire human in their helmet lands in my left quad. Bah! Hits full speed. The dude dove, lands in my leg. Within 30 minutes, the leg was already purple and yellow, and just because it's full speed in my leg. I didn't miss a practice could barely walk later that day. No one cares. Like they genuinely like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to work. And so if you have that mentality for life, it's not saying that mental health doesn't have an issue. Doesn't, not saying that there are things that will slow you down and may stop you, right? But the reality is you can't sit back and say, woe is me, this happened, I can't have that. Because the reality is there's a reason why. Yes, you may have a very valid excuse, but you can't get all salty because you don't have your thing. Because again, it's a zero-sum game. Get it done, you win. You don't, you don't. At the end of the day, you're the common denominator in whether that happens or not.
Right, and I love what you said. Like you had when you had a really big breakthrough, you realized, holy, like I was part of the problem, so to speak.
Always.
No victim mentality. The other question, I love all this, buddy. The other question from the audience is this: obviously, what's your current fitness routine?
So we
You look
have
like a cyborg. You could get terminated.
no, I'm not that big. I used to be like in
Oh
crazy
no,
shape.
yeah.
Well, you know, I got a bad shoulder, bro. I can't even like do the things I used to as much. I'm getting into it. So I found out that like I have a degree in kinesiology. I owned a gym for a decade and sold it. I consulted for multi-billion-dollar companies in fitness, but I don't do well writing my own programs. I will almost never push myself to the sheer level that I probably should. So I hired somebody else to make me workout programs. He actually is getting Bryce Smith, and he I want to say did the CrossFit Games like 4 times. Dude's an animal. And so he writes a workout. So now my routine is exercise wise, it's whatever the hell he draws up on paper. So he likes to do a lot of, it's not like a bunch of power cleans and kipping pull-ups because my shoulder won't do it, but it's a lot of steady state, like, I don't want to call it HIIT, but it's like steady state blocks of pretty much circuit work. So like yesterday, my workout was, I had to do a 200-meter run, 400-meter run. I did like some pigeon stretches, some squats, some hip bridges, and then like some Cossack squats. And then I did 2 sets of those. But then the main was 10 sets of 200-meter run, 5 reps of a back squat, and increase the weight. So 200-meter run, 5 sets of back squat, 200-meter run, 5 sets of back squat. So you just rock through 10 reps of it, you just go. And so it's like steady state. I'm not sprinting, but it's steady state. The idea for me is I get to kind of like disappear. I don't got to think about the workout. It's written for me. It's like my meditative realm. Like it actually recovers more of my mind than my body, I think, to be quite honest, because my brain gets this headphones in and I'm away from the world of all the podcasts and the coaching and the crazy and the kids. It's just I'm in for a bit and I pop out. I'm like, let's go back to work.
I love it, brother. You're on absolute fire. I legitimately, sincerely, I appreciate our friendship so much that we built. I'm excited for everything that you got going on. For the audience, go check out Anthony's brand, Make Shift Happen. Got a ton of things going on. We're going to leave the audience with one final gem. Tell them the importance and significance of being adaptable.
Adaptable, that's my thing, man.
I know it.
I think, yeah. People ask, like, what is the one thing that's unique to me that I think I do better than most people is I'm adaptable. For example, go back to the relationship. My wife does not like doing things outside of her comfort zone or that involve talking to people and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things I don't like. I don't like having to go and deal with her stuff at work and I got to help her like do things. I don't like dealing with a lot of things. I'm like, I don't want to do that. However, I've always been able to adapt my mind to find the joy in situations. So if I got to go do something I don't want to do, I'm like, well, you know, at least I get to sit in the car and listen to an audiobook or some music that I want to listen to, or at least to go hang out with my wife for a half hour while I do this weird thing. The reality is, man, if you can find ways to adapt, well, 2 things. If you can find ways to understand when you should adapt, because you shouldn't adapt to everything. You shouldn't adapt to the relationship where you're getting treated poorly, right? That obviously would make sense. Be presently aware of like when I should and shouldn't adapt. And then 2, learn to adapt. And what happens is you will always and forever learn new skills you can apply. Because adaptation means I'm adapting to develop something new to handle the situation. And if you don't have a mentality for that, well, you'll lose out on the ability to learn how to speak to somebody, how to gather information that you can use later on. Like I listen and pay attention to everything. I'm always adapting the world around me so I can actually come through to stuff like this and speak with a plethora of information that comes from places that probably it shouldn't, you know. But because I'm adapting to my environment, my situations, to the environments that my kids go to, I got to sit with the parents I don't know. Like these little things, they become skill sets. So life becomes this game that I am the first player of, and I'm like level 72, you know, because I've been in the game longer than you have, looking at how I can adapt to it.
I love it, brother. Wisdom, so many jumps, so many nuggets. You're on fire. The audience is loving the episode. If you haven't listened to it yet, what are you waiting for? Go see what Anthony has got going on. Appreciate you, brother. Love you. I'm excited to build up. I'm excited to continue to watch you fly.
Ditto, bro. Ditto. If you need me for anything, let me know.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
You too, man. Get better.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. So much fun. Love that guy. If you guys haven't listened to the episode yet on the record-setting CLS experience, joke's on you. Episode's on fire. Anthony's the man. Great guy. So many gems, so many nuggets. He's been through it. He has the experience. So, phenomenal listen. Just want to thank the audience. It's great to be back here live. As you guys know, it's been a tough week. Had a tumor surgically removed from my foot on Monday. Tuesday, I wake up, trying to get back to swinging things, and I get a phone call from my parents. I had to shoot home to Long Island. We're putting our family dog down, which is very tough. Much tougher than the surgery, if I'm being honest, because, as you guys know, a dog is a family member. So I want to give a shout out to my parents. I love them so much. I know that they miss Maki right now, but she's smiling down at all of us, and we're thankful for all the memories that she brought us for the last 16.5 years. It's good to be back on fire with the audience. This is what I live for. I'll be doing this in some fashion until my last breath. So I want to thank you guys for empowering me to show up tonight and give you guys everything I got. Thank you again for Anthony. I love you guys. B. Kizzle, melts my heart to see you, brother. Love you so much, and I'll be seeing you soon. Jesse and Alex, my two badass empire building queens who are currently in my living room. I love you guys so much. Let's have some dinner. And for the rest of the audience, catch you soon. Love you guys.